I had the honor of checking out a new film called Out of Darkness last week, and while the winter season continues to be a barren wasteland for quality horror, this film proved to be a unique surprise. So let's ook and eek about this epic caveman horror film, Out of Darkness. Welcome back to ML Miller Frights. I'm ML Miller. Before we begin, please do me a favor and punch that like button down below. Share this video with all of your social media addicted pals. Click subscribe to this channel and ring that bell for notifications. Out of Darkness, aka The Origin, is new in select theaters from Bleeker Street and Stage 6 Films. It's directed by Andrew Cumming and written by Ruth Greenberg, Andrew Cumming, and Oliver Kassman. A group of primitive men and women split from a larger tribe to discover a new land in hopes to find a new home to live. As they traverse the harsh landscape, the group travels to the edge of a large forest, finding signs of life. But when night falls, something seems to be stalking this group, picking them off one by one and dragging them into the darkness. There really hasn't been a lot of caveman-style films, and even less caveman films that lean heavily into the realm of horror. Caveman, with Ringo Starr, was absurdist fun. I remember watching it over and over again on cable and giggling my ass off. Then there was the drama-heavy Timothy Hutton Iceman, where a prehistoric man is brought back to life in the modern world. We had goofier takes on the subgenre like Encino Man and Year One, which were pretty forgettable, and 1 Million BC, Ega, and The People That Time Forgot, and a few other classic creature features were hokey horror fun. But for a long while, Quest for Fire, the beginning of 2001: A Space Odyssey, and maybe Clan of the Cave Bear seemed to be the most realistic and authentic take on prehistoric man we were going to get. That is, until Out of Darkness, as this is one of the best depictions of our prehistoric ancestors I've ever seen. Out of Darkness is a film that simply feels epic in scope and every level. An entire language was created for the group to speak. This is no mere monkey-like ooks and acks that we heard in Quest for Fire, or the comedic grunts of Caveman. Everything from the clothing the group wears to the language they speak feels authentic. There seems to have been an amazing amount of research to bring the harsh and desperate life of what we call cavemen to life. Filmed in Scotland, the film feels like it was made in an untouched and barren alien landscape. This is not a life anyone would want to lead. Filmmaker Andrew Cumming highlights the cold and unglamorous conditions this tribe has to endure with one single driving goal: to survive. Out of Darkness conveys the theme of survival above all else from the first to the last minute of this movie. The film takes its time to get into the story itself, instead allowing the viewer to get to know the struggle the group has to go against to survive every single day in this horrible landscape by taking the viewer through a typical day or two in the life of these people before the horror happens. In the opening half hour, Out of Darkness makes us privy to all of the complex relationships going on in the group, and while there are subtitles translating the words this makeshift family speak to one another, much of the relationships between the characters come from the silent moments, the subtle looks, and bold actions made when the sun goes down and the group is most vulnerable. There's definitely a hierarchy to this group, but when the group is challenged, it's clear that all of them must be tough and be able to fend for themselves in order to keep the bloodline alive. Out of Darkness achieves so much in these opening moments, and this film should be studied at how to communicate story details in creative and nonverbal ways. Most films bog the momentum down with discourse, but Out of Darkness doesn't have that luxury, so it fills the blanks through gestures, stories told by the fire, and silent interactions. If you're looking for something to get mad at, there are themes of feminism throughout Out of Darkness that's going to test some's patience. Having written the Jungle Book comic which gender-swapped Mowgli long before it became trendy, I didn't see any problem in Out of Darkness's depiction of its female tribesmen. Its kill or be killed, and these women can't afford to be frail or weak. The tribe relies on them as much as the males to keep everyone safe. Plus, the old adage, the female of the species is more deadly than the male, is said for a reason. Still, I know there will be some who will get all assed up about how the primitive women are depicted in Out of Darkness. Because this is such a primitive environment, it's much more believable that these primitive women would be able to kick ass, and they do so here quite a bit. The reason some of the tribes survive and others don't feels more random and natural than some kind of feminist message, though. The performances from the cast is top tier from actors who might be unknowns now, but will most likely be notables in the future. Chuku Modu, as Adam, is unforgiving with his alpha male status of the tribe, a status necessary in this relentless environment. While this role is often seen as toxic in this modern and sensitive age, the film goes out of its way to show that without his lead, the whole group would not make it. On the opposite end of the spectrum is Gier, played by Kit Young, the subservient beta male who follows his brother Adam religiously but lacks what it takes to really lead the group. While I kind of loathe this character, I have to give the actor credit that he does play a very weak man very well. But the true standout of the film is Safia Oakley Green as the stray named Bea, who steps up when things go from bad to worse. Oakley Green is easy to root for as she plays her role with a vibrancy that outshines the desperation enveloping this tribe. Seeing these three characters work together and clash is the central conflict of the story, and it's fascinating to see it all play out. If there's something to point out in terms of criticism, it's that once the predators stalking the tribe are revealed, I couldn't help but be a little disappointed. Now, the quote-unquote monsters do serve to support a very strong lesson learned by the survivors at the end of the movie. But I did feel that with the identity of the threat in the darkness built up to be such a fever pitch, once the monsters came out into the light, I was a little let down. Again, thematically, it works and makes the film much more of a moral exercise than a horror film, so I understand why they went where they did. Director Andrew Cumming, along with his co-writers Ruth Greenberg and Oliver Kassman, create a world that feels real, dangerous, authentic, and something I would never want to live in. But nevertheless, I was fascinated and couldn't keep my eyes off the screen for the whole time. Out of Darkness is a film able to convey a feeling of primal terror of what is out there in the darkness, just waiting to pounce and end you. It relies on amping the terror up for most of the film, and while the revelation of what it is may not live up to the monsters in our own imagination, it still ends with an emotional and moral power punch to the gut. Out of Darkness presents a new and exciting world with interesting characters, then places them in the direst of situations and never lets up. Setting Out of Darkness in prehistoric times sets it apart from the herd, but still it couldn't be more of a humble, soulful tale as it tells both a complex and simple tale of survival and humanity all at once. I fully recommend this movie.
You're doomed to live the life you're meant to be, stuck inside your reality. You're